So how much of this could have been prevented by the Biden administration? Let's ask former acting DHS Deputy Secretary Ken Cuccinelli. Ken, this really, we keep seeing case after case, Tennessee, Washington State, California. Right. This was a larger problem. But I think to William's reporting there, you know, the fact that we let people come across the border under the Biden administration, release them, gave them work authorization, and then said, oh, you can't speak English? Let's just give you a license to commercially drive an 18-ton truck.
Right. So there are two levels at which the Biden administration obviously could have avoided this problem. One is to not open the borders. But two, you mentioned the EAD. This is what is typically called a work permit. And they gave them out like candy. You have to legally qualify to get an EAD, Employment Authorization Document is the official name, work permit is the simple name, and there are no qualifications other than meeting the immigration legal qualifications. And remember, because the Biden administration paroled in, which basically means made an exception to all the immigration laws, which are supposed to be done on a case-by-case basis, but under the Biden administration, they did it en masse. So you end up with millions of people here who have either limited or no English proficiency, and then to give them the ability to drive an enormous vehicle, which we put in a special category for good reasons of safety. And we're seeing that abused all over the country. So I'm glad to see Sean Duffy being aggressive with the tools he has in the Department of Transportation. And of course, the president is working on the deportation front at a rate that really his predecessors did not do. So both of those have to happen, but it's going to take years to undo the Biden damage. Well,
and Ken, what strikes me as one of the reporters that spent weeks upon weeks at places like Lukeville, Arizona, in places like Jacumba, California, and San Diego, where these individuals crossed and were released. When we saw the thousands coming across, your eyes saw it on live TV day after day after day. How did the administration not only not realize that the ultimate consequences could be worst case, resulting in death, and to then give them work authorization and then allow them to drive these big rigs? But then I want to drill into this. Here we are now with quite a bit of ability to Monday morning quarterback this and look back at the failures that even Hunter Biden agrees with. But you have up to 8 states, including California and Colorado, that are now fighting it. I just saw Hakeem Jeffries talking about, well, you know, this isn't fair because now it's going to cause consumer prices to go up because of a trucker shortage, and you're arresting people that haven't done anything wrong. How do you square that?
Well, first of all, they have done lots of things wrong. People getting arrested have done something wrong. They don't legally qualify to have a CDL under federal law. They also are not here legally, so there's 2 so far. So the people defending it are really just making excuses. But let me go back to your original question on the Biden administration. This wasn't a mistake. You and I look at this and we see an error, a bug, if you will. They see a feature. They wanted to bring millions of people in. They knew people would die because of it, because of safety reasons, because of crime, a whole variety of reasons, a whole variety of negative consequences. They made the trade-off. If you remember back in the Biden administration, the one word that they zeroed in and they let it slip one time was optics.
Right.
The only thing they were worried about was the optics.
Yeah.
And the optics of all of these negative consequences are, yes, very bad, but the reality of them is even worse for the families involved, the communities involved. And let's face it, when these CDL drivers are gone, Americans will get those jobs. So there's another upside to this whole situation.
And communities will be safer. Before I run out of time, Ken, quickly let me get your reaction to, we learned today, last week, 4 individuals were arrested in a New Year's Eve bombing plot. Today, they were indicted by a federal grand jury. You see the charges here: conspiracy to use weapon of mass destruction, providing and attempting to provide material support to terrorists, and possession of unregistered firearms. An excerpt from the indictment is quite telling. They say this, Ken: defendants described plans they intended to implement following the New Year's perceived bombings, including their plans to target U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, that's of course ICE agents, in vehicles with firearms and pipe bombs to take some of them out and scare the rest of them. Your reaction?
And scare the rest of them makes it terrorism. That is terrorism, folks. And the people who are opposing ICE frequently are willing to use terrorism tactics. And you hear many people on the left willing to back these people up. Oh, well, you know, it's such an important cause, so terrorism is okay. Pay attention to that. That is excusing terrorism as long as the attacks are in a political direction that favors the speaker. Until this country is willing to accept zero terrorism, whether it's left, right, middle, up, down, we're going to continue to suffer from this sort of violent affliction. We need to wipe it all out. We need an aggressive FBI to take it on. I'm glad they've succeeded here. And I hope these folks get a very stiff sentence.
And we shall continue to cover it here. Ken Cuccinelli, thank you very much for taking time, and Merry Christmas.
Good to be with you. Merry Christmas.
All right.
Hey, it's Will Cain. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Cain podcast for full episodes right now.